Just because you're not hearing about it in the news or in YouTube videos until now does not mean that tensions haven't been rising, that things have just completely stopped. Tensions with India have reached an all-time high to the point where India is actually warning all of their people within their country about flying to Canada, and it's had massive repercussions at the diplomatic level. This isn't good, folks. This isn't good. Justin Trudeau coming out guns blazing, thinking that he's gathering some sort of local support or international support by making these crazy accusations. Whether they're true or not, it just seems very irresponsible to come out that soon and make the public statements, especially since he just came back from India. Why didn't you have those discussions there behind closed doors? Why did you go visit India? They welcomed you with open arms. Your plane was stuck on their tarmac for an extra 2 or 3 days. Like, it's not good the way that you handled yourself there in India. Why didn't you just talk to him there about it and then come back instead of waiting to come back? Now it just seems like you're stabbing India as a whole in the back. It's not good. Welcome back to another video, everybody. Before we get into it, I want to encourage you to give a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Really helps grow the channel. As remind you that if you want a matching hat or matching hoodie, the maroon one that I wear so frequently, then you can find the link for this down in the description below. I've made it very easy. When you go to the Freedom tab, you see my first two are my favorite items. So the link for that is down in the description below. Let's take a look at Justin Trudeau's incompetence, man. It's not good, folks. It's not good.
Good evening, everyone. The most populous country in the world issued a new warning to its 1.4 billion people today, advising travelers and students here to exercise, quote, utmost caution for what it calls anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes without actually providing any examples. CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver leads us off with the potential impact of a deepening confrontation.
40% of international students in Canada come from India, the most of any country. But today, the Indian government told all 320,000 students to exercise caution in view of growing anti-India activities and politically condoned hate crimes and criminal violence in Canada.
People can read into that what they want. Canada's a safe country. The government of India can explain why they're doing that.
The updated travel advisory is the latest blow in a high-profile diplomatic standoff between India and Canada,
between agents of the government of India,
after Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said India may have been involved in the murder of BC Sikh leader Hardeep Singh Nijjar.
I think both the government needs to work together to come on a table and talk to resolve this issue.
An international student representative from India, Damanpreet Singh, says students are concerned.
They are panicking now. They are nervous to see this kind of advisory comes from India.
The advisory extends to the tens of thousands of Indian tourists, too, who come to Canada every month. India is now the second major country to advise caution when traveling to Canada. Last month, China announced international tour groups would resume to 78 countries after COVID, but Canada wasn't one of them.
It's important to contextualize that one bit, the travel advisory, and see it as a larger part, of a larger suite of measures that the Indian government is presenting in an effort to show firm resolve in its spat with Canada.
But while there may be some concern in the transportation and tourism sectors, India's warning may not be enough yet to keep its nationals from traveling to Canada.
Today, the White House weighed in on the clash after a report in the Washington Post said that a group of allies rejected Trudeau's request to condemn India in a joint statement. Washington Omar says that report is false.
All right, Annie, thank you.
And it gets worse than that, folks. It actually gets worse. And we're going to take a look at a bunch of different headlines here. First, you have India suspends visa services for Canadians amid heightened tensions. Let's read this article. Diplomatic tensions have escalated between the two countries after a Sikh campaigner was murdered on Canadian soil. India suspended visas for Canadian nationals amid an escalating diplomatic situation between the two countries. According to a document shared by BLS International, the organization that manages visa applications for India from Canada, visa services have stopped immediately until further notice. The letter read, due to operational reasons, with immediate effect, i.e. 21 September 2023, Indian visa services in Canada have suspended till further notice. Tensions have risen considerably between Canada and India since the start of this week. Yeah, because our stupid prime minister makes insane accusations off of a whim, regardless of if they're true or not. Regardless of if they're true. It's so irresponsible to just blame a government that hosted you for the past like 7 days right when you left. It's like leaving a group of friends to then go and talk shit about your group of friends publicly. Like it's very bizarre that he would do that. It's not good, folks. India is retaliating. They are retaliating, and it's gonna hurt us in some sort of way. The latest move comes days after both countries announced diplomatic expulsions. Earlier, Gross, not president, barely prime minister, Trudeau suggested that agents of the government of India were behind the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar, a Canadian citizen whom India identified as a terrorist, which is the craziest part, because if he's a terrorist over there in India, then what does that make him here? Would he still be, would that term, would that label still carry over here? Or the moment you go into a different country, does it just disappear? Because if that's the case, if India's government labeled that person as that, then why is Trudeau sympathizing? Is he a known terrorist sympathizer? Oh, wait, he is. Oopsie. So what exactly has contributed to crumbling diplomatic relations? And what does it mean for the two countries? What's happening between India and Canada? Diplomatic relations have soured between India and Canada following the murder of Canadian citizen Hardeep Singh Nijjar. Hardeep was a Sikh leader who had moved to Canada from India in 1997. He had previously called for the creation of an independent Sikh nation to be created in India's state of Punjab. Sikhs make up 2% of India's population, and Indian authorities later branded him a terrorist. In the run-up to his death, local reports have implied that Hardeep had been warned by Canadian intelligence that there might be threats to his safety. He was shot and killed by two masked gunmen July 18th, 2023. Seems like being warned was good. I mean, at least he was warned. That's... Yeah, anyways, very weird situation. This week, Justin Trudeau said that his government was investigating credible allegations potentially linking India to Hardeep's murder. Delhi officials slammed the allegations as absurd, and tensions have continued to escalate since. Following the claims, both countries have carried out tit-for-tat expulsions of diplomats before India restricted visas to Canadian nationals. Why is Canada accusing India of an assassination? At this point, Canada suspects that Indian officials may have been involved in the assassination of Hardeep Singh Nijjar in July. However, Canada hasn't publicly provided any proof of India's involvement in the recent murder. According to AP, an anonymous official confirmed that Trudeau had reportedly spoken to the U.S. administration about their findings. When Trudeau first made the allegations, he said any involvement of a foreign government in the killing of a Canadian citizen on Canadian soil is an unacceptable violation of our sovereignty. Canada is a rule of law country. The protection of our citizens and defense of our sovereignty are fundamental. And this is where you have a really big divide in people and their views, because if he is branded as a terrorist in India, does that give a foreign country the right to allegedly assassinate someone in our country? Or should this have been handled more diplomatically and by the rule of law, where India could call for this person's expulsion or maybe a warrant for them to return to India and go to jail? I don't know. But was this the right thing to do? Because now it shows the world that, I'm just playing devil's advocate here, it shows the world that, hey, if you have somebody that you want targeted and gone in Canada, it can happen because Canadian security is non-existent. And look what allegedly India just did. So it's not a good look. And I think a lot of people, a lot of conservatives even, are a little pissed that a foreign country was able to pull this off, regardless of if it was morally and ethically the right thing to do. Just by standard of law and how a country operates, there is that, and it does feel like Canada we've been penetrated. So there's two sides to the coin here. A lot of people are siding with India and the Indian government, saying, I hope they did it. I hope India took the guy out if he was a bad guy. But on the other side of things, kind of have to realize, Canada's easy to penetrate. And if India can do that, can China do that? Can the US do that? How many other countries can do that? Where does this end? Why are we allowing this? Should we allow it? Is it morally or ethically correct? I don't know. There's a lot of questions to be asked, but I stand firm on my original point where I don't think it was right for Justin Trudeau to come out and make those public statements and allegations moments after returning from that country. I think that was irresponsible. Canadian cites threats, says adjusting diplomatic staff presence in India. So here we go with the tit for tat. Canada does something, India retaliates, Canada does another, India revokes visas. I mean, where is this going to end? I think the countries need to sit back down together and resolve this. And if he was a T-word person, then I think that that should be mentioned by Canadian politicians and by Canadian press, with kind of in the exact manner that I just said, that we don't know if this is morally or ethically correct. However, he was a bad dude allegedly. I don't know. I think there's a better way to go about this. And I'm hoping that in question period, maybe Pierre can bring it up. Maybe it gets talked about. Maybe they mention it in CPAC press conferences. But I hope this gets addressed a little bit more, because it's kind of got Canadians worried, man. There's a lot of tension right now with the Russia-Ukraine thing and NATO, and now India is targeting Canada. There's a lot of things to be worried about in the world, and there's only so much coffee going around to handle our stress. So we kind of need answers. At least we deserve answers.
Between Canada and India, with this statement from Canada's High Commission.
With some diplomats having received threats on various social media platforms, Global Affairs Canada is assessing its staff complement in India. As a result, and out of an abundance of caution, we have decided to temporarily adjust staff presence in India.
Earlier on Thursday, India's official visa processor in Canada announced,
due to operational reasons, with effect from September 21st, 2023, Indian visa services have been suspended until further notice.
This after tensions rose earlier this week when Canada said it was investigating credible allegations linking India with the murder of a separatist leader. Sikh independence activist Hardeep Singh Nijjar was gunned down in June outside the temple he led near Vancouver. He'd been wanted by India for years. Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government categorically rejected Canada's suspicions. Canadian officials have so far declined to say why they believe India could be linked to Nijjar's murder. In recent days, both nations have expelled a diplomat each before issuing tit-for-tat travel advisories. India urged its nationals in Canada to exercise utmost caution, in particular students, citing growing anti-India activities without providing evidence or details of specific incidents. Canada has the largest population of Sikhs outside the Indian state of Punjab, and some 40% of overseas students in Canada come from India. The spat is threatening trade ties, with talks on a proposed trade deal frozen last week.
Where is this going to end? Trade deals are frozen, and you have visas now that are suspended. It's not good. It's not good, folks. It's very crazy. And now you have security at Indian Consulate in Vancouver is boosted after Trudeau's remarks on Nijjar's killing. The Vancouver Police Department has increased security at India's consulate in response to credible intelligence suggesting a connection between India's government and the killing of Sikh community leader in BC. Hardeep Nijjar, a supporter of an independent Sikh homeland, was shot dead. So now, even in on Canadian soil, Indian consulates are potentially being targeted by either angry Canadians or foreign governments. Like, we don't know. We don't know what's going on. This isn't good. This is not good. And as we've seen through our immigration policies, there's a high amount of Indian population in Canada. Like, a really high amount, a tremendous amount of Indians here in Canada, if you haven't noticed. And I'm not sure if this is bleeding into the individual households in terms of how this is viewed from the Indian communities that have immigrated here. I don't know yet. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are pissed from either India's actions or Justin Trudeau's actions. But this isn't good. This is creating like a bit of a civil war here in Canada, and it can be completely avoided if Justin Trudeau had kept his mouth shut and didn't threaten a country with 1.1 billion people. We have 40 million people, barely. The 30 million of us don't even live in a house in Canada. Come on, man. What are you doing, Trudeau? I think there's a much better way to go about this. Unfortunately, I don't have the answers. I'm here to criticize the people that are making the decisions. Sometimes I come out with an answer on the whim, and I feel like addressing the situation with a little bit more empathy and being a little bit more in a neutral territorial stance would be better than coming out and making these crazy allegations. But I'd love to know, the viewers, what you guys think down below in the comments. Do you think about any of the topics that I've covered, was Trudeau in the right or was he in the wrong to threaten India? Because now it seems like we're going at some sort of political war with India, and I'm not having it. I want no part of this, but I'm here to criticize and watch as we burn down to the ground. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to give a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye for now. Thanks so much for making it to the end of the video. If you want to support the channel financially, you can do so by checking out the merch shop linked right up there. Or if you want to do something for free, which is also absolutely acceptable and highly encouraged, you can subscribe right there. If you want to continue watching videos like this, you can do so by clicking or tapping right there to watch the next upcoming video. And if you want to watch a little bit of different content, but also Canadian stuff, you can do so by clicking right up there. That's my second channel, House of Canada, also known as the House of Commons Highlights. Thanks so much for watching. I look forward to seeing you in the next video.